a lot of the same things actually apply whether you take a week off, a month off, a year off, or 10 years off. The most important thing, the question is, how do you get back in the groove of swimming after taking time off? Thanks for the question, Riley Smith. This is a question I hear all the time. Swimmers who have maybe taken a few months off or a few years or a few decades, maybe you swam as a kid growing up, you took 30 years off and now you're coming back. A lot of the same things actually apply whether you take a week off, a month off, a year off, or 10 years off. The most important thing is to build a plan that you can stick with. You gotta be consistent. It's not really about, oh, do this or do that. You just have to be consistent in whatever it is that you do. A lot of swimmers, when they make that comeback and they try and get back in the groove, they try and take on too much too fast. You used to swim 7 days a week and you used to swim 5,000 meters every workout, but that was 10 years ago or that was a month ago. So you shouldn't bring it back to full capacity on day one or even on week one or even on month one. Instead, you want to figure out a game plan that you can be consistent with, whether it's swimming 3 times a week, 5 times a week, or 6 times a week. Once you have that game plan, then we start to talk about the actual mechanics of your training. Now in the MySwimPro app, we actually have some great training programs for getting back in the swing of things, and you can follow a structured plan. That's really the best thing that I can recommend for you, is not just go to the pool and just try and swim. If you are a beginner, that might be the place to start. You might start at doing 10 lengths, then 12, then 14, then 16, then 18, then 20, and before you know it, you're doing 20 lengths. If that's the level you're at, then you go into a training plan and you really build your capacity through structured workouts. It's important to focus on technique. You gotta make sure you're recovering. So a lot of times there's this rule that I like to recommend to people. You don't increase your training capacity by more than 10% per week. In other words, if you start out and you swim 2,000 meters per workout and you do that 5 times per week, the next week, that's 10,000. The next week, you really shouldn't do more than 11,000, right? Now, there are some exceptions to that depending on what your foundation is and a lot of other variables, but you really shouldn't increase by more than 10% per week. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that actually compounds pretty fast. So 10,000 becomes 11,000, becomes 12, becomes 14, becomes 18, becomes 23, and you start to see how you increase that load, all of a sudden it becomes a lot really, really fast. Now I know I skipped a little bit from 18 to 23, that's a lot more than 10% for all of you math gurus out there. But you get the idea. You wanna focus on technique, but most importantly, figure out a plan and be consistent with it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel, hit up the subscribe to the main YouTube channel, MySwimPro, where you see all the Whiteboard Wednesdays and fun stuff like that. And if you haven't already checked out the MySwimPro app, download it for iPhone and Android. Get started with MySwimPro Coach, and happy swimming. Peace.